Alrighty. I feel especially desolate this morning. My stomach is making all kind of unfortunate noises, and I can't eat. And the CRPS was bothering me last night. It's bothering me this morning. So I was sitting here trying to read, and I was like, well, maybe if I read some of my fiction that's sort of inspired by CRPS, maybe could some people that don't have it could get a window into what it's like. And one writer or another was asked where he gets his ideas, how do you come up with these things or whatever. And his answer was, it all goes in all your life experience. So, in other words, it's like your mind is a bowl, and all your life experiences, all that melange of madness and misery and general experience is in there. And when you sit down and you look at a blank page and you start to write, that pen is an apothecary's pestle, mixing all that up. And whatever alchemy that guy creates, that's what ends up on the page. And that's as poetic as I can be, feeling like this, without rehearsing. Without further ado, I will try to read, and we'll see how that goes. I have to click on the little WordPad thing here. And come on, work. Alrighty. A 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. By the time he felt the earth giving way beneath his feet, it was already too late. He overrode his reflexes as he had learned to do long ago, but he could not override the nature of things. He tried to let himself fall rather than digging back into the hillside with his feet, because he knew the fallen tree at the bottom of it was waiting for him. But he could not fall sideways and roll into the log. The mossy brown obstruction grew as he skidded on his back. His right instep caught underneath the wooden obstacle, and his momentum carried the rest of him over it, twisting his knee and wrenching his foot. He had no wind to cry out, though. His left Fuck me. I can't do this. I can't read. I can't do anything in this state. You know how many times I read this before? Oh man, nobody cares about failures. Broken things. Broken people. I have real trouble reading aloud, and my voice is still fucking messed up. So, I don't know. This is kind of breaking my policy of, why is my throat hurt? I don't know. This is kind of breaking my policy of, unadulterated Steve. Just throwing myself on here, and whatever comes out, comes out. But I can't read. Little Johnny can't read. It's very sad. And my throat hurts, and I don't know why. I don't have a cold. I guess I talk too much. I tried not talking yesterday for a very long time. And sleeping. Now that I'm able to sleep at night, if I wake up, like last night I took Valium, went to sleep, and then when I woke up in the middle of the night, I'm kind of getting used to not having criminals living in the building, so I'm able to take my 1/4 milligram of Xanax and go back to sleep. But yeah, the CRPS is kicking last night and today, and it's very frustrating. You know, this is a prison of flesh, and when you're in prison, you don't get to do the things you want to do, and it makes me angry because I am not completely untalented and I can do things, but my body won't let me do them. And with the withdrawal and the agitation and the CRPS, I do not get to even sit here and read something that I've read 100 times. Too ambitious for me. I don't know how many takes that would take me to do to get to read it right. I could never. I just I have a real trouble reading aloud. I was talking to my brother last night. We went to the same school, and he must have had the same damn nun because we went to a Catholic school. He must have had the same nun that I had because he's like, yeah, I always hated reading in school. I never understood why they made you stand up, like they can't hear you when you're sitting down. And I was like, well, that's supposed to teach you poise. And he said, poise my ass. And I was like, yeah, I don't know who that was like that. And he goes, she always used to say, read what's on the page, huh? Read only what's on the page. I just said my brother's name. I guess it doesn't matter. Who the fuck knows? Why do people got to be crazy where I even have to worry about saying stuff on the internet? Fucking bunch of Fruit Loops out there. All y'all crazy and dangerous. I know people that are watching this, you're nothing but trouble. I just knows it. But anyways, I was like, yeah, I had the same nun. I don't know what her name was. She's dead now, so I can say her name if it was Sister Lois, who was strict as hell. Um, I don't remember I'm pretty old, so they used corporal punishment back in my day as far as smacking the kiddies around. But I don't remember no nuns whacking me in the knuckles with rulers or anything like that. I don't think they did that at the school that I went to. But I went from there after a guy almost killed me in a Catholic school. I went from there to a public school. And in the public school, they'd paddle you. And I remember there was a shop teacher that went about, I don't know, 250 to 300 pounds. And nobody wanted to get paddled by that guy. And whenever he called somebody out to get paddled, they'd come back in and they'd just have a bright red face. And, they would be fighting back tears and stuff. It didn't matter who they were or how tough they were. His name began with a D. It was something like Daner or something like that. I don't remember what his name was. But I was talking to somebody else old like me from back in the day, and he was like, yeah, I had a guy that was way worse than him because he wanted you to cry, and he felt like he wasn't doing his job unless he made the kid cry, so he just would keep whacking you. They hit you with a paddle, back in the day. And sometimes your real, more sadistic teachers would have holes in the paddle, like I think Bill Cosby or somebody had a bit about holes so the meat could bleed through or something like that. But anyways, he had one of them teachers with the holes in the paddles. The guy kept whacking him, and then finally just asked him, he's like, why won't you cry? And he told the guy, listen, if I'm not going to cry for my dad, I'm not going to cry for you. Because his dad used to beat him. But, luckily they changed that because school's bad enough, without having to get smacked in school and have a sore ass and come in there with a red face. I still remember this one kid. Kid was a jerk anyway. And his name was Andre. I remember that. And yeah, I remember that kid's face when he came in. I was like, I didn't know a black kid's face could turn red until that day. His face was all red. And, he was fighting back to tears after Mr. Daner got a hold of him. But, yeah, I don't know what that had to do with anything. My own personal frustrations and failures. And, yeah, it's very difficult being trapped in a ruined body and having talent. It's one thing if I didn't have any talent. If, I didn't have things I can do. Which I'm not saying my glasses are crooked. I'm not saying I'm the end all be all of things, but I can do a few things. I'm pretty clever with words, and I can write, and I can play guitar, and I can do some things. But now between the withdrawal and the CRPS, I don't want to do anything. except for be unconscious, it seems like. But yeah, I'm just aggravated. I drank 2 cups of coffee to try to like get alert. That might have a little something to do with it. Maybe it's too much caffeine for me. I didn't know what I wanted to talk about. I don't know. So I guess I'm messing around with the cursor. I'm putting it over my nose right now. I put the cursor right in the middle of my nose. That's why I pick my nose with the cursor. I'm gonna gotta work out a routine, I guess, where I just uh, tough it through and read the 2 things that I want to read every morning, no matter what it sounds like, until I get it right. The problem is with the speed thing. I think is uh, I go too fast because I'm so familiar with it. I got it memorized practically because I have to have it memorized because I got some kind of impediment with reading aloud. So I got to memorize the material, or I'll just switch it around in my head. I'll just change phrases and just rewrite it while I'm reading it, which is no damn good. So I don't know. I'm very aggravated. Yeah, I want to punch this right here. I want to punch something. This aggravates me so much. It's like I should. I know that there's people that are of equal intelligence to me that can fucking read off of a page. Why can't I do it? It is so frustrating not to be able to do it. Now, my voice is a big old deep voice, and I feel like it takes a lot of energy to fire this thing up. It takes a whole bunch of coal to get this engine rolling. But, I think that might play a part in it because I can't speak quietly. I have to project. I don't know. I don't know. Very aggravated. People get aggravated. I was going to try to explain or give people a window into CRPS that didn't have it or that don't have the disease, because it is such a freaking weird disease, and it's like you live in a different world than other people. Because as I've said in other videos, the way that we are connected through the world is through our nervous system, and our nervous system paints a picture of our surroundings and interprets experiences and whatnot. And most people have roughly the same pair of glasses they're looking through. If I may use another metaphor, them motherfuckers are rose tinted compared to somebody with the CRPS. But say your nervous system is a pair of glasses that you're looking through that's painting the world for you. And then with CRPS, you got a bunch of smudges and cracks and some places in those lenses that you can see so clearly it's insane. And then other places where you can't see, and it's like living in a different world than other people. So when I wrote back between the years of 1998 and 2003, roughly, I wrote nearly every day. That would come out in the writing sometimes. But back then, man, I wish I could do what I did back then. Or wish I was in the shape I was in back then. But I never could read aloud. I don't know. Yeah, I'll look back at this and see if I want to bother putting it up. But usually, it's kind of a rule with me. Is like no hiding. Um, no hiding's allowed. So if I'm less eloquent than usual, if I'm just being a dick or being a bummer, that's all part of the withdrawal process. I'm supposed to be recording this whole process for myself and for other people so they can see what it's like. And the agitation and the irritation doesn't allow me to have patience enough to go through take after take trying to read something to get it correct. And my voice is messed up and I don't know why. Maybe if I just shut up for like 2 days, but people usually like to talk to me and call me and whatnot, so I don't get to do that. But yeah, I'm taper wise. Like I said, I'm paying for up dosing from a quarter um, to a half for 6 times during an 11-day period, and then I'm last few days I've switched back down and sticking to the quarter. Even while taking the volume, that's rough for me because I don't know. Like I said it before, I don't know how that works for other people, but Valium does not substitute the Xanax for me. Last night it did help me sleep, but I woke up and still ended up having to take a quarter milligram of Xanax at it was 3 in the morning, roughly 2:45, I think. But unlike the days when the squatters were here and I was worried about break-ins and stuff, I was able to go back to sleep and then wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, which is pretty damn cool, which means that I'm recovering from living in a hostile situation for so many months. Because before, it wouldn't matter what I would take. I'm awake. I got people living in the building that are criminals that might break into my house, steal my shit, or do me bodily harm. So, and I can hear them walking around and stuff. So, but that's over with. I was kind of cool. I was talking on the phone to somebody yesterday, and I was like, yeah, I'm expecting someone. I hear somebody coming in, and I thought to myself, and I said, a month ago, I wouldn't even bother getting up to answer the door because that could be anybody, literally anybody coming in here, but I'm pretty sure that that's the person that's coming in here to see me. Sure enough, knock, knock, knock on the door, and it's So yeah, that's an awesome thing. Instead of having people you've never seen before holding arguments on your porch and looking at people coming in there and coming and going with just random items in their hands that may or may not belong to them. And yeah, so yeah, that's a good thing. I hope my voice comes back and my patience comes back. I don't know. I guess I could try to read. I'm looking at my cats outside chilling. It's about 50 odd degrees out here, and they're chilling on the neighbor's deck. I can see out the window from my bedroom here. They both got their heads down and full bellies, sleeping. And my neighbor has a deck out there that looks back over the woods and the stream. And he's the guy that just gave up. He's like, I'm moving and taking my family out of here. During the squatters crisis, he was in the meth house that opened up meth cookhouse that opened up across the street from. He's like, I'm gone. And he moved. And that's the guy, if you remember, I said, yeah, I think these people are going to be out of here pretty soon. And he's like, what the fuck difference does it make? Your landlord's just going to move another shit heel in here. Drug dealing piece of shit. And I'm like, whoa. And then it's like, well, yeah, we had crack dealers living in here. We had pot dealers living in here. We had hood people living in here that were just not dangerous, but just would do stuff like stand out in the yard instead of just didn't give a fuck about nobody else. They just stand out in the yard and, there's other people living here and just yell up to the second story, Bootsy, Bootsy, hey, just start yelling, That one time I think I pissed the one guy off that weighed like 300 pounds and he did the same thing with me. He stood out in the yard and I hear my name, Steve, Steve. I'm like, shit, there's 2 reasons I ain't coming out there. First of all, the guy is pissed off about something he weighs 300 pounds. The second part of that is if I encourage him, that's like rewarding the behavior that I don't like, which is just standing out in the yard and yelling. You're trying to watch TV or maybe do an audiobook project or something, and there's just people out yelling for no reason. Everybody and their brother, even I have a cell phone, so you can just call upstairs and say, hey, what's up? I'm here, let me in. But it's just fun for him, I guess, to stand out in the yard and yell. It's just, but there was those people. There was just such a cavalcade coming through here of just loud ass bad tenants that were either in the criminality or just loud and uncouth. I don't know if I told you this before, but this cracked me up. I'm a pretty easygoing dude, so this kind of shit amused me at first. But they're hanging out on the porch and stuff, and I hear tap 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 on my window because my window's located by the porch. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck ever? And I open up the window, and this woman's like, hey, um, my friend over here wants to charge their cell phone. Do you have an extension cord or something you can run out? And I just thought it was funny, and I'm like, okay. So I run an extension cord out there, and and they plug in their phone and use my electricity and shit. And I close the window. I go back to trying to watch whatever I'm watching on TV. Like half an hour to an hour later, tap 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 on the window again. And I open the window, and they're like, "Do you got like a second extension cord? Because we want to play some music." I'm like, "These are not my friends. These are just people that moved in here recently. So this is not. I'm not even sure if they know my name at this point." So I'm like, "I got the one extension cord, babe. That's it." And I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" But yeah, first time I met that woman, her name was Lisa. First time I met that woman, man, she was like knocking on the door, and I forget what she was asking me about, but I remember she's saying, "Man, we're gonna go out here and smoke some weed." This is on the front porch at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. She's like, "I don't know if you smoke or whatever, but you're welcome to come out and join us." And I'm like, "Oh, I had to give that up, no thanks." But I was like, "Okay, you're just gonna sit there and blaze on the porch at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know if you understand what kind of neighborhood this is, but this isn't really a blazing on the porch at 2 o'clock in the afternoon type of neighborhood." And then the guy that moved over here, a couple of times I seen him passing joints back and forth. It's like all out in the open and stuff, which I don't really have a problem with that. I just think it's funny, that the first time I meet somebody, she doesn't literally know my name, and she's like, offering to, uh, I can go out on the porch and get high with him in public if I want to. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the purpose is sometimes of doing this. Maybe my voice will loosen up and I can relax a little bit. And I will do my reading. I don't know how it's going to come out, but I've been hearing a bunch of noise and stuff. It's pretty quiet, like as far as people doing yard work and stuff, because it's like 52 degrees out and nobody apparently wants to go outside. They're not used to it yet. In about 2 months here in Ohio, 52 is going to be a dream. So they're not used to it yet because we've had such a hot summer. It's been 30 to 40 degrees hotter than that every freaking day. Like, hell, yesterday it was in the mid 80s and now it's 52 out. So, yeah. Um, but yeah, I just got this rule that, like, I don't care how I come off on here. I just want to be honest, and very, very rarely do I ever pull anything down and leave it all up there. Somebody might get something out of it. You never know. Um, I mean, I guess there's unlimited space here on YouTube to put things. Very frustrating life, man. You know, I think I made a video once that I called my left foot, which was a reference to a guy that movie where the guy could only use his left foot and managed to become an artist and stuff with his left foot. But really, I put it up there. I put the video up there like, what the hell am I being my usual egomaniacal self? I think I'm just so damn clever I can't help it. Like nobody cares about that. But I got the worst part of me physically is my left foot, so I put like my left foot or how I wake up in the morning. And I woke up in the morning and was just like, talking talking shit, basically. I think I was talking some pretentious stuff. I try not to be too pretentious. I mean, just because I read a bunch of books and stuff, I am still a high school dropout. I still can't do algebra. And yeah, I had my spinal tumor. The symptoms of it showed up when I was 14, and I was getting life and death surgery when I was 16, so no more school for me. And then they took the spinal tumor out when I was 16, and I had to learn how to walk again. And then once I learned how to walk, they sent me back to school with a cane. And I think 10th grade, for half a day, they thought it was very important for my social development to be ostracized in high school and sit in the back with the pregnant girl, because they had, like, everybody else was in these normal desks and stuff, and they had a table in the back room, and that was for the crippled guy and the pregnant girl with the big belly. So that was only one of my classes, and they were right in a way, because it would have been bad for me to just sit in the house. At least I got to meet some people and have some experiences, and nobody tried to kill me like they did like a year before that, where that guy tried to kill me because I was already crippled up. You couldn't justify kicking somebody in the head that's walking with a cane and not walking too good. So anyways, what was the threat of that? Hell, I don't know. So yeah, the thing on the back burner, like I said before, I can't find the stove, so we'll move on. And then I went to, it was about my education level. My education level is 9.5 years of school. So I went to school for 9.5 years. And really, it's more like 7 years of school, because I went to a Catholic school and they had different rules back then than a public school. And you could miss as much school as you wanted to. And I wanted to miss all of it. I hated school. I wanted to miss all of it. Hated it. Hated almost everything about it because of my anxiety issues and the way I grew up and stuff. Growing up in a house with a guy that killed people and whatnot. So that's a whole nother deal. But anyways, so yeah, I would put my education level actually at about 7th grade. I'm Jethro Bodine, man. I done graduated the 6th grade. Yeah, and I think like girls started to grow tits around the 7th grade. I think that's when they started to develop back then, so that didn't help matters for me either. That made me pay even less attention to what was going on. Mostly I just looked out the window. I'm at the 27-minute mark, and I got my 30-minute rule, but I don't think I told the chicken story before. But I'm in algebra class in public school in the 9th grade, and I'm not paying attention to nothing, and I don't have a good seat for looking at any girls or anything like that. So I'm sitting next to the window, and I'm looking out the window, and there's a big field out there, and I see something white moving across this field, and it's getting closer and closer, and I'm like, the fuck, that's a chicken. I'm like, okay, this is a morphine flashback or something. That they did give me a lot of drugs when they was operating on me, but that's a chicken. I see a chicken. This is like, it's not a residential school. It's just, it's like they had a big yard. That's about it. But it's like, or what did I say, residential? It's not a rural farming community. This is in a city. I'm like, there's a chicken. I don't believe it. Like I was like, I better check and make sure. So I tapped the kid on the shoulder in front of me, and I'm like, man, do you see that chicken over there? He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I said, just look. What do you see out there? He goes, God damn it, it's a chicken. He tapped the kid on the shoulder in front of him, and it's a chicken. And then it went all the way up that one row, and then pretty much the teacher realized that nobody was paying attention to him blathering anymore. They were all looking out the window. And then everybody got up and looked out the window and looked at the chicken, and then the teacher looked at the chicken. and that is how a bright white chicken disrupted my algebra class, which I was failing anyway. And so yeah, so that's the story. Anyways, I'll put this up just in case somebody's bored and they enjoy hearing my voice and my silly stories, which I have a wealth of. Um, I could tell you stories, as silly ass, ridiculous stories for hours on end. But I don't know. I don't permit myself to do that anymore. I just will do it in half-hour installments. And I realize this video is a train wreck and not my intended purpose. My whole plan for this was just to do a little reading from some of my works of fiction that are allegorical for what CRPS, what it feels like, what it does, etc. Through one character who has the misfortune of injuring himself, who happens to be a Blackfoot Native American, and he's alone in the woods and has a busted up leg and a wound on his side. It turns gangrenous and he starts to go out of his head. And through another character who has some serious psychological, not unlike psychological issues, not unlike his creator, and is describing why he has to talk and why he has to write. And maybe I will do that some other time. I wish I could just read the whole thing and put it up here for you for free, because I have a disability to live on. I have a roof over my head. Can't wear clothes, so I'm not going to be a clothes horse. What the fuck am I going to spend my money on? You know, I spend my money on helping other people or whatever, but I'm not interested in money particularly, and that's only because I have a guaranteed income and a guaranteed subsistence living from the government and from you kind tax-paying folks that may be watching this. So my quirkiness and whatever entertainment value I have may be my form of paying you back. So why shouldn't I put the stuff that you have afforded me with your tax dollars, that free time that you have afforded me with my tax dollars? I just did not completely waste that free time with moon pies, pornography, cigarettes, and whatever. What's that line? Moon pies and penny whistles. But God, this video is awful. But it doesn't matter. But yeah, so yeah, I will gladly put my years of my life's work on here for free and not give a fuck, because I could be dead tomorrow and I don't need the money. In my point of view, of course, I could do good things with the money if I had the money, but that's, money is a corrupting force, especially with art. Money is art's enemy. So, anybody that's watched an Adam Sandler movie knows this. My neck is starting to hurt and I'm at the 32-minute mark. I need to get off of here, drink some tea, think some pacifying thoughts, and force myself to read, because I guess it's against my talents, but I will just keep reading until I can figure out how to read effectively and in a way that would be pleasant for people to listen to. And I don't know how, I guess I can practice that even while I'm in withdrawal, even if the final product is not worth putting up. So I'm breaking my 30-minute rule by, according to this clock right here, about 3 minutes. But I will put this up just in case any of y'all is bored and enjoy my company. Anything is possible. Y'all have a good day, and God bless, or good fortune, whichever you prefer according to your particular beliefs. Adios.